All right, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in to another training session. And what I really want to cover today is something that's been hot in the media. We've been seeing people weighing in on it from the mortgage industry, from the real estate industry, on the lending side, on the consumer side, people giving their opinion just from seeing it and hearing about it. And I want to touch on where we are right now. So when y'all are seeing this recording, we're in November of 2025. So this is brand new to the headlines, brand new to people hearing about it. So there's still some work to be done, but let's talk about it. So Daniel and Josie, have y'all heard about this 50-year mortgage? Like I feel like it's everywhere, all over the media. Have y'all been seeing it online?
Yeah. hmm
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So I want to get y'all's take on it at the end of the presentation, see what y'all really think. But to kind of paint the picture and see where we're at right now, let's kind of take a look at these slides. I think these are super interesting. 50-year mortgage, what it could mean for our market. So the White House, they've signaled work on a possible 50-year mortgage to address affordability. Affordability has been a huge problem with prices rising, inventory still struggling. So here's a few things to know about where we are in the process, how it's going to affect buyers, sellers, and what's even crazy, this is going to affect people's retirement planning, their estate planning, and we're going to have to be the experts to help these people through this process, us and our lending teams, of course. So let's talk about what it really looks like here. So, what's the proposal? The Trump administration, they've brought this up, they've brought it to our attention, they've said that it's in the works, and it's a big deal. The goal is to lower the monthly payment and make housing more affordable, especially for first-time buyers, people that are cash strapped, people where affordability is a big issue. So the policy's not ready quite yet. Still a lot of details in the works, the rates, how they're going to do all the underwriting. So the framework needs to be tested, and there's going to be a lot of revisions before it really comes out. But this is what it's proposed to look like. So a monthly payment drop compared to a 30-year mortgage, it's going to be a lower monthly payment. So you'll see right here a $500,000 loan at 7% interest. The monthly payment might be a few $100s less. That would be a huge deal for buyers, especially that are right on the brink. And that's going to allow a lot more buyers to enter the market. But here's the flip side of that, the interest over a 50-year term is going to be a lot more, potentially nearly double the total interest. So, there are a lot of opposing views on whether people think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll talk about there in a little bit. And talking about the equity challenge, on a 50-year mortgage, equity builds a lot slower. So in the first 20 years, borrowers are going to see very little principal change. They're going to be paying all that interest for, I mean, just imagine for 20 years. So on a normal 30 year, at 20 years, you're going to be on the downward slope of that mortgage, paying off more principal. On a 50 year, there's going to be a lot more payments and a lot more interest that have to go into servicing that loan. So big implications for wealth building, refinancing, and it's going to make things a little tougher to resell, especially if you have that lower equity. So, who benefits? Who's at risk? So, short term advantages, lower monthly payments, that's going to be big for first time buyers. Millennials and Gen Zers that are having problems with affordability, they're going to be able to get into something because of that lower monthly payment. But households prioritizing immediate cash flow, you know, they might be able to get into something a little easier. Younger buyers, they can enter the market sooner. But here's the long-term risks. The slower equity growth could trap buyers. We see it all the time. People that are in a 30-year product, even though they may have owned it for 3, 5, 6, 7 years, they're having equity problems paying and then all of their closing costs. Imagine with a 50-year note, they're going to have very, very little equity at a 7 and 10 year mark. So retirement planning is going to be more complex because people's net worth is going to grow at a slower pace. So here's some dynamics to keep an eye on to really keep in the back of your mind as all this is still unfolding. So current homeowners, a refinance into a 50-year could lower your monthly payment. That could free up some cash flow for some monthly expenses or other investments, but you're sacrificing that equity growth, that momentum. So it's a trade-off that's going to require some planning. With inventory and demand, if more buyers qualify, this is the craziest thing to me because all we're looking at, I feel like every day we're seeing the same thing, prices rising, prices rising, prices rising. If more buyers get in to the market, demand is going to rise and that's going to put more upward pressure on prices. We're going to see higher prices. I feel like in the 10 years we've been in real estate and even in the years prior, home prices don't go down. Now, that's the value of investing in real estate, but affordability is an issue. It's an issue. And that's why this 50-year mortgage could be a short-term fix, but you're going to have that less equity for down payments on your next home, and that's going to slow the market velocity. So here's where we come in. Our value proposition is we have to show our expertise and give all the examples, give all the scenarios, and help buyers and sellers make the best decision for what they really want to do. We've got to look at total cost, how they're accumulating equity, resale scenarios over the next 10, 20, 30 years. So here's for lenders. We're not mortgage lenders at this particular time. We're not mortgage lenders, but they're going to have a lot of challenges too. All of these 50-year notes, the 50-year treasury benchmark, it hasn't even been established. So they're going to have to test all that. There's going to be a lot of stuff in the works on that end to make sure that this is going to be feasible. They're going to have to restructure the secondary market, extend the credit risk horizon. So there's a lot of steps that are still going to be in play. But here's a quick pro and con at a glance. Near-term affordability, lower monthly payments, younger buyers can get into the market. I'm sure y'all see this all the time. I feel like every year the median age for the first-time home buyer goes up and up and up and up. I think now it's pushing 40 years old. So anyway, it's going to allow younger buyers to get into the market. It's going to give some flexibility with cash flow, but going back to the drawbacks, higher total interest, very slow. I love how it says right here, glacial. It's going to be very slow, slow wealth building, and it really doesn't address the root cause. So some people are saying, well, this is kind of a band-aid, a temporary fix, but the real problems are the supply shortage and the affordability issues. So there's going to be some roadblocks. They're already preparing for them. They have to get all the legal framework down. Without that treasury year benchmark, it's going to be very complicated. We don't have anything to base it on yet. So we don't know what the investor appetite, all that good kind of good stuff. We don't know what that is quite yet. So targeted rollout, it even says right here, it might take 18 months. It might take 24 months. We don't know. So we need to watch out for these programs, see how they're taking shape, and just be ready for it because that's the most important thing is just to be ready for it. It's not in play right now, but we want to be ready for it. So how to talk to clients, and here's some scripting that we can use. Let's run the full numbers. Let's look at what a 15-year, 30-year, 50-year mortgage might look like. We need to understand the equity growth. We need to plan for different scenarios. You see, how long are you planning on living in this property? How long are you looking to refinance? Are you looking to get into other properties? And then if it moves forward, it might not be available to all buyers quite immediately. This might be tailored a little more towards first-time home buyers. I don't know if investors and all that other kind of stuff are going to be able to utilize this. So we're going to have to really stay tuned to see exactly what's going to happen. So we need to run side-by-side comparisons and try to help our customers and our clients the best way we can. So we just need to monitor, prepare our client resources. Let's get ready for it. Let's look at the differences and run some practice calculations. And we can even do this for ourselves. Let's look at the properties that we're living in. Say, hey, maybe this is going to be a good option for freeing up some equity or lowering monthly payment, putting some money towards additional investments. So there's a lot of different things that we can look at, but the main thing is just to be ready. We should be able to show them detailed examples of here's a 15-year fixed, 30-year fixed, 50-year fixed. This is what it's going to look like for you and your situation. So yeah, so what do y'all think? I'm anxious to hear y'all's thoughts. Let me go ahead and stop my share here. What do y'all think? I mean, do y'all think this is going to be a pro, a con? Do you think there's a little bit of both? Where are y'all's thoughts on all this?
I have some thoughts.
Sure, go for it.
No, so I think it's going to be a great option because it's going to help a new buyer pool of people. Like, and a lot of people right now, they're just focusing on the initial information that's out. So, what we do know as of right now is that it's would be tailored to the FHA product, which is a first time home buyer product. And, we have the FHA program with a lower down payment and all these things, but the government has been trying to get more people to buy. So you look at down payment assistance. What is down payment assistance? Down payment assistance removes the down payment. So it's usually good for people who, have no cash to purchase a home. They use down payment assistance. And in certain cases, if they have some cash, and they want monthly payments that are lower, because with down payment assistance, there's a lot of strings attached as well. So there's a lot of red tape and a lot of interest payback. There's a lot of loans that they pay back with down payment assistance. So the concept is not new. It's just packaged in a different thing. If your first time home buyer has some cash but wants a lower payment possible, then a 50-year mortgage is a great option for them. So I think when we're dealing with our first time home buyers that maybe that have lower income or who need some assistance, for buyers that have no money saved, a DPA is a great option. But for buyers with low income and small savings, a 50-year mortgage might be better for them. So it's really just opening up that buyer pool. And some people are focusing on, okay, well, your equity is going to build slower and the interest is higher, but it still gives you the option for home ownership. And we kind of have to look at cars on the same flip side, like with car payments, it used to be, up to a 5-year, loan for a car. Now they've gone up to 6, 7, 8 years for a loan for a car. So people are trying to make this is not a new concept. And I think it's fantastic because it's going to give the first time home buyers better options, more options, and more chances at home ownership. And even if they don't stay in the house for 30, 40, 50 years, it gives them the opportunity to start their home wealth journey at least. So I think it's good. That's just my opinion.
For sure. Daniel, what are your
Yeah, I
thoughts?
would agree. I think that this is going to bring millions of buyers who would otherwise not be able to purchase a home and allow them to get in the game, so to speak. And is it going to be the best financial decision? Maybe not, but for a lot of people, it's not about how much interest it's going to be after 30 or 50 years. A lot of times it's just about having a roof over your head. And I think that that's the important thing here. And, just like Josie was saying as well, there's the 7-year, 8-year car note. That's not the best decision financially either, but, that could be the difference between getting to work and not getting to work. So I think that's the important thing here. So I think it's exciting and it just gives buyers and consumers another avenue to purchasing and owning a home. And I think that we should allow everyone to have that opportunity.
For sure. And the reality is when you look at the metrics, when you look at the numbers, most people are not living in houses for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years anyway. A lot of people are either moving up in house, moving down in house, restructuring how they're living. So most people are living in a house 7 to 10 years. And when you look at, people have those metrics on how often real estate doubles in value. Yes, maybe the equity gain on the initial loan might be a little bit slower, but who knows what's going to happen with appreciation, right? So, the way I look at it is it's a leverage issue. This is a leverage advantage, because if home prices increase, that means that overall home equity is going to increase, even if your equity in your loan is growing slower. So, I look at this as a huge opportunity. And, they say, well, the government's going to make more and banks are going to make more and they're going to make double the interest and all this other kind of stuff. My argument to that is if you don't want to pay interest, you don't have to. Nobody says that you can't buy the house cash. Okay. So if you don't want to buy the house cash, there is a cost to borrow money. There always
Yeah.
has been, and there always will be. So nobody's saying that you need to use a 50-year mortgage. Nobody's saying you need to use a 30. You can use a 15. You can pay it off in 5. You can take a 50 and accelerate your payments. Nobody's telling you you got to pay double, triple, quadruple in interest. So, I always look at I try to look at all scenarios here. And if this is going to be the difference between somebody paying 100% interest in rent or paying X number of interest on a 50-year note, take the 50-year note every day, all day, without question. There is no question. And with rents continuing to increase, that particular consumer doesn't have any other option because the rent is going to continue to go up. So either keep paying a higher rent every single year or get into something that's tailored to try to help that problem. And whether you're building equity slowly or whatever the case is, you're building zero equity when you're renting. So what's better, building it slowly or building it at zero? It's a to me it's a very clear-cut concept, and I think this is an exciting time to be in real estate. And you know what? Here's the other thing that's really kind of something to ponder. They say, okay, you're at a 50-year note. Now you might save $200, $300 a month. If the demand goes through the roof, then prices are going to be at this price. So your payment is going to be the same on a 50-year note 2 or 3 years from now as it would be on a 30-year note because prices are going to go up here. So it goes back to the same principle that we always talk about. The best time to buy a house is always 5 years ago. The second best time to buy a house is right now, as long as the numbers work out for you. And even listening to Ricky Carruth, if the 50-year note comes out, the people that are waiting, they need to buy as much as they can on that 50-year note. Now, if it's FHA, it might only be the primary, whatever the case might be. We don't know exactly how it's going to shake out. But you got to get in on it because the prices are going to go up. Now, what happens when the prices go up? Taxes go up. Everything goes up. So this is a exciting time, very we don't know how this is going to shake out, but instances like this have happened throughout history, and now we're at the forefront of something that could be really big and something that's really going to shake things up. So, it's our job as professionals to learn as much as we can, get with our lender partners, see what their thoughts are, see how they're preparing for it. That way, when it hits, we can be ready. Cool.
Low
So
building equity is better than no equity,
that's 100%
you
right.
know?
That's 100% right. So yeah, it's a cool time, exciting time to be in real estate. It's always an exciting time to be in real estate. And whenever we can help more people get into their dream home, start building some equity and building some wealth for themselves and for their loved ones, that's always a good thing. We're all agents here, and we all hate having the conversation telling someone we can't get them into a property that they love. So if this can help people do that, then I think it's I think it's a
Well,
great point.
another aspect of it that I think is important is, and we'd have to verify this with the lender, but um, instead of being approved for a $300,000 home at 30 years, maybe you could be approved for 550 at 50.
True.
I'm not sure, but that could be a big game changer for consumers as well. You can buy a little bit more home for your money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, cool stuff. We'll see how this all plays out. But I wanted to touch on it today, this morning, and I prepared this little slide deck, and this slide deck pulled resources from a whole bunch of different media sources. So, it's exciting to look at it. Keep your eyes peeled. Let's see what happens. And yeah, any other thoughts in closing?
I just think of that tree in Daniel's backyard. It grew slowly, but now it's large and beautiful and the focal point of his backyard. So great things grow in time.
That's
That's
true.
right. That's right. That's right.
That's
And
true.
you're 100% right. And if people are able to utilize this for their primary home, and let's say they live in it for a few years, or I guess the rule is 2 out of the last 5 years, you know, and they decide to get into something a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller or whatever the case, they'll be able to capture that equity, use that equity. It'll be tax free, and they can move on to something bigger, something smaller, something whatever they're wanting to do. So it opens up a lot of doors, and they'll grow. That tree will grow. That net worth and that equity will grow.
And like
So
you said, we don't know if this is going to be open to your typical home investors, who own rentals. But if that's the case, I think the cash flow aspect of things could be pretty crazy.
for
But
sure.
again, I don't know if that's going to be open to secondary properties or not, but
Well,
we'll find out.
also, like the first time home buyers who've had to compete with investors for homes and have lost out on things. So maybe this is going to be a great opportunity for them to have the
Yeah,
forefront, the
yeah.
first option.
That's true. That's true. Well, exciting times. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in today. And it's a super hot topic. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open. And as always, y'all can hit Josie up, hit Daniel up, hit myself up if y'all have any questions. And if y'all are good, we'll see y'all next Tuesday at 10. Sound good, guys?
Sounds
All right.
good.
Y'all take care. Have a great week. Y'all go sell some real estate. All right. Bye bye.
All right, later.